It's a little out of left field for my video game channel, I think, but I just spent a while working on this binder and I kind of want to share it, so why not, right? This is Pokemon cards and Magic cards, so we're just going to go through it. Keep in mind that this isn't my whole collection for people who want to talk trash on it, but I also wouldn't consider myself a hardcore collector either, for the record. It's kind of a casual thing that I like to do. These are all upside down for me too, so it's going to be a little bit hard to get used to here. You can see on the top, I got the Ultra. I can't remember what these cards are called actually. GX, that's what they're called. These guys. Some of them I got from Japanese packs, so they're obviously in Japanese. But some of these, they're not in any particular order. You can see got a couple Blastoise EX. Got the Venusaur EX, Mewtwo EX, some of these like golden cards. I really like the way this Mewtwo card looks. I don't know if I have the best camera for this or not, but I mean, it looks pretty good, I think. We got obviously more Pokemon cards here. Trying to get them all into the frame. It's pretty close. I'm not going to take every single card out as we go through because that would be absolutely absurd. In DDV 5? I'm guessing it's a V. That's the other thing. Pokemon fans, don't hate me too much, but I am a new Pokemon fan. I had a lot of cards when I was a kid, but I was much more of a Yu-Gi-Oh guy myself. Trying to get the camera to focus on it a little bit better. Focus. It just doesn't want to focus on it. More of these. We got the Misty training card. Trainer card. Wonder if there's a setting I can change here. Not really. This is not an ASMR video, but I guess it could be. Got a Greninja, GX. Another Greninja down here. Got a lot of the Japanese cards coming up, I think. All four of these, obviously, and this one. Got a little slow, bro. This is Machamp. GX. What if I if I do that? No? Just right in front of the camera and it still doesn't want to. Still doesn't want to pick it up. Yeah, see? Japanese. Oh, I guess not actually. Just this one. There's one right there. These are all the full artworks, too. Dialgla? I don't know how to pronounce that. GX. It's definitely a cool looking one. Two of these. Not sure why I separated them, but whatever. That's how they're gonna stay. We got a couple Mews over here too. I did the same thing, it looks like. See that? I really like the way these hollows look. This one as well. This one's kind of like those first three that I had on that top page. Or in the first page on the top. You know, maybe I need more light over here. I don't know how I could get more light though, so. Got a lot of light. Oh, did I put... Oh, I put them over here. Why did I put them down here? And then we got same style there. Some of these guys. Got two of these. It's like break cards. Or sideways. Kind of interesting. You can see the ones on the bottom. Got a Starmie and a Ninetales as well in that same style. And then we're on to just the pure holographics. I haven't gotten Pokemon cards in a long time either. I'm going to have to work on that. But I tend to like these almost more than that other style, to be honest. Just because of maybe nostalgia, but like this Hitman Champ just takes me back, even though it's not like it's a newer print, but I could swear I had this exact card when I was a kid. Some of this Chansey on the second page. Really a lot of them. So there's the Chansey. Got a Raichu there. We got a Ninetales. It's normal. Hollow there. Magneton. Here's a lot more of the Japanese cards. As you can see, got another Mew there. Mewtwo up here. Spacing on the name of this legendary boy. I don't know if I showed the back when I meant to, but that's what the back of those Japanese cards look like. There's like a special type of box. I don't really know how to describe it. I don't know if these are like not legal cards or something. I don't know why that would be the case, but you can see that the borders on these also have the hollow, which is really cool. Bunch more of these. I'm not the best at names, so if you're noticing me not name a bunch of Pokemon when they're in Japanese, that may be why. There's some organization to these, but overall, it's not that organized. I don't know. Guess it depends on how organized you like stuff. Got two of those apparently. Some more of these hollows. Ampharos. I just went through and added a bunch of magic cards to this, and I took out a whole bunch of non-holo Pokemon cards that were in here. But I gotta get more binders, because I have a bunch more cards I would like to put in binders. See, we're just going through more holos. I love organizing stuff. So, card collecting is a good hobby for me. Yeah, it looks so cool. Maybe I'll do my next opening as like a pack opening. Flareon. Looks like that's the end of the hollows. I have all of the reverse hollows in this binder as well, or at least most of them. Machamp hollow. That's the last guy in here before it turns into reverse hollows. You don't know what that is for some reason? It's just exactly what it sounds like. The picture itself isn't holographic, but the rest of the card is. I think it's kind of weird, honestly. But I don't hate it. Just another way to make people excited to open packs, right? These are kind of harder to see, but you can definitely see that reverse hollow there. Little flames in the background of the hollow. Like this one probably has little Pokeballs in the background. Yep. I don't even know if those are hollow, actually. Nope, those aren't hollow. Some of them have little hollow Pokeballs. This one's fighting type, so you can see it has the little fists. Same with this type, right? What do we got in the background? We got Psychic Eyes. Because it's a psychic type. Alchemy. And a little Diglett trying to escape there. Or, sorry, Doug Trio. This one's just reverse hollow. It doesn't have the little fists. Must be two back here. No? Weird. This one's the same. You can see it's just hollow. Hollow, or, sorry, reverse hollow. Beedra. Farfetch'd. Come here. Why am I struggling so much with this? I think it's because I'm hitting the bottom page. For some reason. You love putting this guy on your team when you're playing the games. Such a good Pokemon. So we still got more reverse hollows. Eventually we're gonna hit magic cards. It's gonna take a while. We still have a lot more of these. Or Beetail. This one's got the little leaves in the reverse hollow background. Maybe I can grab like a flashlight. I returned with a flashlight, but I don't know. It might be a little too much. It's a little too reflective. Yeah, we did all the light over here, so it's really the best I can do. If I do another one of these, I'll have to find a better lit place. I've got a lamp. That's as good as it's gonna get. No, I'm not starting over. Well, I've cut most of that out, but I was trying to find a better light situation. Galissopod. This one's got the leaves. There's a lot of reverse hollows. You get one in like every pack, so maybe I'll speed up reverse hollows a bit here. Oh, I still have... Oh, I have them separated, so these are the rare reverse hollows. And then I guess these are all the non-rares, but this type of artwork is really cool too. If you've never seen these. Little yarn marl. Same with like this one. Little executor. But it looks like a real toy. You can see the reverse hollow, there's a big leaf and then smaller leaves on this one. I think that lamp is helping a lot. I like Electrobuzz. Really quick, while we're in the new light, we'll come back over here and we'll look at a couple of these again. Okay, the camera, oh, there we go. These do look really cool. Like, look at his eye turn all blue when you hit that certain angle. Obviously, it's like a prism. These are very pretty cards. Why is there one behind this? Look at that, I have this dude back here too. I don't know why. Do I have three of these? Is this the one that I had another one of? Oh no, I pulled it out of the second page. I'm just stupid, no worries. But that Blastoise, huh? We've already seen these, obviously. We're just going back through them real quick with the updated light. I'm just a sucker for holographic cards, what can I say? Look at that. Looks super cool. I think I pulled that one out before. Obviously, I like that one. Yeah, those are the full artworks. And then, yeah, these sideways ones will give you one more little look at these guys. That guy looks so funny. Ooh. That's the noise I imagine him making. These are the just straight up hollows. I think these were okay in the other light. They're a little bit easier to capture. Got the nine tails. I just like the hollow on that one. Like the hollow on all of them, really. Some are cooler than the others. Like this one. You can see those borders better now. Pokemon, for me, is just collecting the cards. But Magic I actually play, because I'm a nerd. They pulled out both cards again. Look at that. That's pretty cool. What does this one look like? Caparaja. Not my favorite. Still cool, though. Again, I'm just going back through. Here we are at the reverse hollows. I don't know why I have this one back here, because it looks like it's a full art. But maybe it's not. I guess it's not. It's just hard to tell where the hollow ends and the picture begins. Some of the simple ones look really cool too. Like it's just gold holographic, right? I can't remember when I got the lamp now. Like when the what cards we were looking at, but we're just gonna keep going. Unit energy. Oh, let's see, this one's got that same type of reverse hollow with the big emblem and then a bunch of the little ones. Flabby. It's just a straight up gold Voltorb reverse hollow. Got two different reverse hollow Vulpix. This one has the flames in the background of the hollow. Got a Haunter. Love this style of Pokemon. All the evolutions of this guy. Obviously Gengar. But I don't have a Gengar. Definitely used to when I was a child. There's a water version of that reverse hollow background. These are just more of the same. Reverse hollows, I think these are the commons. Yep. A little Charmander. Like the artwork on that one. It's like, oh, did I do that? There's the Charmeleon. Again, I like the artwork. It reminds me of the original type artwork. And a little Meowth. Reverse hollow. Look at him. That's a angry looking Meowth. He's put on some pounds too. It's a Garlarian Meowth. Magmar. I've got two different reverse hollow Magmars. See, these are like, this one, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the original art, the original print. Obviously, like, reprinted, but you know what I mean. This one's got the fire in the background, and you got him looking all badass. And the other one, he looks a little confused. Little Poliwhirl. I know I can flip my cam for the record if anybody has already commented that. I'm already set up. And see, some of these came from the Japanese packs. Look at this one. That's a cute little card. If I can retrieve it. There we go. Got Meowth just sleeping with his little toys. There's another one of these type artworks. I really like these. They're very unique. Metapod. Some more of those types of reverse hollows. I'm just kind of looking for anything that catches my eye as we're going, you know? A lot of them are pretty similar. You can see pretty much all of them. I know these ones on the bottom are a little cut off, but you're not missing anything. Okay, now we're on to the trainer cards. I forgot I had these separated. There's one that I was talking about with all the Pokeballs in the background. Is the Turffield Stadium. Bunch of trainer cards. Super Potion. Used a lot of these in my day. Not IRL. Looks like I decided not to keep doing this because I have some other reverse hollows starting here. You can see this little guy. He's up to something. What's he up to? Chimchar. Looks like he just stole something from that machine. And that machine is not doing so hot now. No pun intended. And it's the last of the reverse hollows. Now we've got the Hollow energy cards, which I really like. I honestly think the camera has trouble doing them justice. But I like the land cards in Magic more than I like the energy cards in Pokemon. These are all obviously the same. I think this is just reverse hollow here. Reverse hollow energy. More energy cards. And now we're on to the magic cards. Like I said, I just added like every single one of these pretty much. They're more or less in some sort of an order, but it's gonna get going. We've got a bunch of planeswalkers in this first section. And remember, this is a fraction of especially my Magic collection. Mostly hollows. A lot of my cards are part of decks too, like brief pause. My current favorite commander deck. Kind of hard to see. Uro. I'll show you this deck at the end of this video. A little bonus. Stick around. I like this deck a lot. Like I said, it's my favorite commander deck that I've made. But I don't play with all that competitive of people. So they don't like me using it. You can already see the difference in the card type with Magic versus Pokemon. Sorry Cat. It's actually not a bad Planeswalker. This one I don't think I've ever played with. A lot of these are like starter pack Planeswalkers that I got when I first started playing. Or at least some of them. We got a Garrick Savage Herald. Why is it not focusing all of a sudden? Is it because the text is so small? Come on, buddy. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it in your hand. Otherwise, put it on the bottom. It's actually not a bad Planeswalker either. But the problem is, there's such better Planeswalkers. Like, a lot of these are decent. But some just are way better than others. We got the Scourge of the Skyclaves. It's an interesting card. It's kind of hard to make work. On the bottom, we got Karn, the Great Creator. Gideon Oathsworn, got a Dwarf Cleric, legendary creature. This guy was definitely part of a pack. It's the one I meant to grab, actually. Karn, the Great Creator. And see, this one's got print on it. I can't remember what this type of card is called, but I don't really care. It's until your next turn, up to one target artifact becomes an artifact creature with power toughness equal to its converted mana cost. You do use that for things, but the -2 on this guy, which is you may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game, or an exile, reveal it, and put it in your hand. That's what everyone uses this card for. It's a huge combo card. Very big in colorless decks, obviously. Trying to get the camera to focus on it. It's hard struggling now. So we've got some of the really good Eldraine cards in here. I have other Eldraine cards that are really good, but they aren't hollow and they're probably not in the binder, at least yet. Robber of the Rich. I don't understand why, like, it's obviously I want you to focus on this card right here. Why is it still focusing on the background? Almost got it. This dude has reach and haste. Haste is a big one. Whenever he attacks, if they have more cards, if your opponent has more cards than you, exile the top card of the library. During any turn you attack with this card, you can play that card. It's a very tilting card. You guys can kind of see what's coming as I take out other cards. It's kind of funny. Bay of Wishes here. This is another really big combo card. You can tell I am not used to doing this type of video. This bad boy, again, fetches you a non-creature card from outside the game. You put it in your hand. You have to reveal it. But then it also has pay 2, 1 and a blue. You discard 2 cards and you can return this to your hand and you can use it again. Or not use it again, I'm sorry. You can use it if you cast it as a creature, because you can see it's a 2 mana 1/4. It's a really good blocker as well. Oh, I got another copy of Wicked Wolf behind this one. I like this card a lot. This is a really good food deck card, which I love my green food deck that I use on MTG Arena. I could probably make it in real life for the most part, but I would need more copies on some of the cards. Look at how mean this guy looks. Oh, you sacrifice a food and he becomes indestructible. Also, when he enters, oh, and he gets a +1/+1 counter. And when he enters the battlefield, he fights a creature. A removal spell that also gets you a creature for the most part. Vishkal, Blood Arbiter. I haven't used this guy much, but I really like the artwork on him. I don't know, it really wants to focus on my hand and not the card. Look at that. Look how good my hand looks compared to the card. What is up with that? This one's got kind of a cool art style. We've got a non-hollow right behind the exact same card. It's a 3 mana 1/4. A lot of these that I currently have in the binder are legendary creatures. Multi mana cost. So ended up what happened. It's what ended up happening. God, can't talk. These are some of the best cards printed, in my opinion. You got Emergent Ultimatum. I've used this card so many times. Search for 3 permanents. Your opponent chooses 1 to go back into your library, and then you may pay the other 2 without paying their mana cost. Sorry, mono-colored permanents, and they can't have the same name. But you can do some crazy stuff with this card. I have more copies of all these ultimatums as well. These are just the holos that I got. Get the Ruinous Ultimatum. This is probably the one I've used the least. But it's a big wipe. You destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. Usually you destroy all stuff, yours included. This is the one that everybody knows about if you've played Magic. This is one of the... I can't remember what this little symbol means down here. But I have other copies of this card that aren't holo without that symbol as well. This one, look at top five cards of your library, put any number of permanents from among them onto the battlefield. You would cheese this, you know, you'd either ramp up to it and just take over the game, or you use, you know, you put it in your graveyard and you cast it from your graveyard, something like that. Some of these just have really cool artwork. Obviously, the ones that I've used more, I'll tend to talk about more. This is a big cat combo card. You don't see a lot of cat decks, though. It's not really a thing that works well. I really like this card. He gets to stay with some of the rares just because I like the card so much. Space Godzilla Death Corona. This came out right at the start of COVID. I don't know if that had anything to do with the name, but I really like the card itself. It's a print of a different Magic card. So like this type of artwork I really like. I have a lot of these types of cards from Strixhaven, and I would love to add them to my binder even though they're not holo. But I don't have room. I'm gonna have to get more room. These are all in order of rarity for the most part. Artwork on this one looks really cool. This is also a popular card for obviously blue-red mages. Spell Satchel. Some of these are used way more than others, like this one. Got Seasoned Hollow Blade. Discard a card, tap it, becomes indestructible. It's a hard card to deal with sometimes. Yeah, that color on this one. Monstrous Step. This is one of those cards that you think sounds good, but it really just doesn't fit in decks very well. There's just better cards. Everyone's favorite mill enchantment, Teferi's Tutelage. Draw a card, discard a card when it enters. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent discards 2 cards. People do not like that card, myself included. This is Garrick's Uprising. I have this in a lot of my green decks that rely on big creatures, because you get a card when it enters if you have a big creature. Everything you have has trample. And it's more card draw as you cast more creatures. Green has a surprising amount of card draw. Furnace Celebration. It's just cool artwork. Again, I think some of these, it's hard to do them justice on camera. There's another Garrick's Uprising. Must not have noticed that I had the other one already. Moss Pit Skeleton with the kicker. I've used this card before. It is hollow, but it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, I even had to like, even double take. It is hollow, I promise. This one's much more obviously hollow. It's more subtle on some of these, though. We got the Fireblade Charger. This is in a lot of my red decks. It's a good equipment card. It's a good one drop. Guaranteed damage for the most part, unless it gets exiled. I got some cool artwork here too. This style. These are just commons. It's a landfall effect. Again, it's kind of hard to tell that these are laminated. It's a little subtle. Or holographic. Do I keep saying laminated? Holographic. I like this art style. The whole card is got that like green tinge to it. It's another landfall. All three of those are landfall. These are just some more basic hollows, or I guess uncommon hollows that I added today. This is actually not a bad draw spell, all things considered. There are better ones, as usually the case. So now I got my lands. Again, I have way more lands than this, but these are my hollows. Got a Ketchery Triome here, holographic. This one's a holographic Zagoth Triome. Some of the best lands ever printed. This is about when I started playing Magic. I started late, when Ikora was still coming out several years ago. I must not buy very many red cards, because I don't have nearly as many holographic mountains. This is my only holographic mountain. Then I just have the other rare lands that I have in Hollow, like this Pathway. Again, really good lands. I wouldn't be surprised if some of my lands are worth the most out of my collection. These lands, people always need these lands. This is a cat land? Or, animal, rather. Land. Animal Sanctuary. Goes really well in animal decks. I've never really made a deck like this, but maybe I will eventually. And then, like I said, I like the artwork in MTG a lot more than Pokemon for the lands versus the energies. This is a full artwork hollow for a plains. Some of these are in my decks too. There might be some that I don't have in here because they are sleeved up and ready to go in some decks. I like these full art land cards though. I have a lot of those in my decks. These are all just different artworks of lands too. That's why they're separated and they're hollow. See, most of them are just the normal style with different artwork on the top. Then we've got like these black and white ones I'll show you. I really like that style too. But I have several of these type full in every color, full artwork. So I've got one of these that's not hollow behind it. But these, I really like black and white artwork and style. I don't really like black and white movies, funny enough, but I really like the artwork on these cards. I think it's kind of hard to see on the camera. I keep saying that, but hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe it's just... Maybe I'm wrong. Same style for the forest. Almost skipped over this one. This one's really cool. Little whirlpool, something. Got like islands in the sky. Alright, we're out of hollows. But still got some more cards to show you if you're sticking around. We got the castles. Castle Lochlane, Imbreth, Vantris, Garenbrig, and of course we've got a Fabled Passage. We've got a lot of these. We've got a lot of copies of pretty much all of these, actually. I don't think I've ever used this land. I mean, if anybody who's played Magic knows Fabled Passage, sacrifice, search for a basic, put it on the battlefield. If you have more than 4, it comes out untapped, 4 lands. I have a hollow version of that in my deck, I think. And then on the bottom, just more of these rare type lands. Throne of Mackindie, Field of the Dead. I haven't used a lot of these in decks, but that doesn't mean I won't. Got some temples here. We got some more of the triomes. I really like the artwork on these. Again, they come in tap, but you can tap them for 3 different mana colors. And you can cycle them. So late game, they're a good draw card. If you draw it instead of a basic, it's nice to be able to cycle it. It's another triome. And these are the same triome down here, it looks like. I have a lot of these in decks, because these lands are useful, right? You got a Glade, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Bunch of these passes. Or I guess actually they're not in the binder, but I got a couple of them in here. Unless you control 2 or more other lands. It's big getting to have multiple colors come in untapped. This is a very specific land sacrificed. Oh, it comes in untapped. That's why it's a mythic. You have to pay 1 life too, because there's Evolving Wilds. Gets you any color. Same effect, you don't lose a life, but it comes onto the battlefield tapped. But this one does not. That's huge. I've never used this card before. Maybe I'll throw that into one of my Izzet decks. Snarl, same type of deal, only I think this one's the, you have to reveal, yeah. I have to reveal an island or forest card from my hand when it goes down, and then it comes in untapped. Got the Biblioplex, that's a good, late game draw land if it's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, kind of situational, but it helps you dig. I don't think that's the one I was thinking of actually though. Onto inversion right here. I'll go back up and show you those. We got the pathways. Some more pathways, that is. Riverglide pathway. This is the same, just the other side of it. Same card. We got the Branch Loft and Boulder Loft pathway. These come in untapped. You get to choose which one, but you can't flip it once it's down. Still really good. Got another Mythic here. You can destroy a non-basic land. It also taps for a basic, or a colorless. This is onto inversion. It's just a tap for a white, but on the backside, 8 mana, destroy all non-land permanents. Can be a very impactful card late game if you get that far. Now we got some more of the mythic type cards that I threw in here for now. I grabbed both of those on accident. Sin Triplets. This is a newer card for me. Seems like a card people would really hate playing against. I haven't had a chance to use it. Card I accidentally pulled out is Sorin. Imperious Bloodlord. It's really all about his -3, if you can see that. Put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Anything that gets value like that, I mean, you could play any amount of mana vampire card. Some more non-hollow planeswalkers. This is a defensive planeswalker. Getting that -8 is not easy. Most planeswalkers, it's really hard to do stuff like that. These are interesting cards that I haven't really used yet. I've used, the mirror. It's in my deck, I think. I've never used this one. 2 less cast for each creature in your graveyard. Whenever a creature dies, it goes to the bottom of a library. You can use this card to return creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield, which is always big, but it's a very expensive card if you have to pay for it. Got the Circle of Loyalty. I think this is the same type of card for white in the same set. Yeah, 1 less for each knight you control. All that stuff. Never used that one. Got the Royal Scion. This is a card that's used a lot. Draw a card, discard a card. Gives something first strike and trample and a +2 to their attack. The minuses are usually not relevant, but draw 4 cards when you do. Deals damage to any target equal to the number of cards in your hand. You probably won't end up using that, even if you could use it. Got the Questing Beast. I think I have a holographic version of Questing Beast in the deck I'm going to show at the end. Got Questing Beast. This is a really good Eldraine card as well. Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste for 4 mana, 4/4. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so no chump blocks. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented, so none of that prevent all damage this turn and stuff. And then when it deals combat damage to a player, it does that much to any planeswalker they control. Or, sorry, a target planeswalker. That is a feared card. But it is nothing compared to this card, or at least when it first came out. Omnath, Locust of Creation. When he enters the battlefield, you draw a card. But he also has this landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life if it's the first time. If it's the second time, you get to add 4 mana, which is red, green, white, and blue. And then if it's the third time, Omnath deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker that you don't control. People would go absolutely off with this. I'm sure they still do if it's legal and it still works in the meta. We got a cool artwork for Ashiok, Nightmare Muse. I like this one a lot. I use this one on MTG Arena a lot in Historic. Create a 2/3 blue and white Nightmare creature token. Whenever this creature attacks or blocks, each opponent exiles top 2 cards of the library. You can return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and then they have to exile a card from their hand for -3. But then the -7 is you may cast up to 3 face-up cards your opponents own from exile without paying their mana cost. And if you notice, this starts with 5. So literally 3 turns, and you can do that. But obviously, if you combine this with like Vorinclex, for example, and you double the counters when it comes down, you just get a free -7. But that's really all the planeswalkers. That's more Vorinclex than that planeswalker. Got Luca. Haven't used that card much, if at all. That's Sorin. Got another planeswalker. Tevish Sat. Another one I haven't used. Create 2/0/1 Thrall tokens. You may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. If you do, draw 2 cards, then draw another card if the sacrifice permanent was a commander. It's a commander type card. Yeah, oh, I can see. I didn't even look at that until now. -10, gain control of all commanders. Put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. You're not going to get that off. But if you do, that's insane. This is also a partner commander, which means you're going to have 2 commanders if they have that effect. We've got Murog. I got 2 copies, the exact same. Each creature you control gets +1 for each time it is attacked this turn. And that is relevant because it has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of your combat, untap all creatures you control. Hard to get that guy to stick long enough to make it count, but this is not the best planeswalker, but it's still in here. Got a Grim Tutor here. One of the best cards ever printed in black. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. You lose 3 life. 3 life to grab any card you want out of your deck. And 3 mana. Haven't used that guy much either. A lot of cool artwork on these guys. A lot of these are mutation creatures. I think mutation can be strong. The problem is you commit so much. It's a good combo card though. Snapdax, Apex Hunter. Same one. I mean, these are all just legendary creatures, nothing of note too much there. This guy's got cool artwork. Tanazir Quandrix. Got some more just really good cards. I got a Magma Opus here. Deal 4 damage, divided as you choose, among any number of targets. Tap 2 target permanents, create a 4/4, and draw 2 cards. You can also pay 2 to discard it and create a treasure token. It's a very big card, and is it? This is another, I think this is the only sorcery lesson that is mythic, if I'm not mistaken, unless they printed more. But create a 2/1 white and black inkling token with flying, a 3/2, and a 4/4. Those two do not have flying. This one, you grab this hypothetically from your sideboard when you learn. This would go in a learn type deck. Well, it's actually probably just sitting in your sideboard if you have any cards that allow you to learn, because that's just a really good ability. I've got a Seeka out of the tree. This is a really good commander because of this side. Cast the Prismatic Bridge at the beginning of your upkeep. Reveal cards from top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put it on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library. Front of her, she's a 3-mana 1/4, but she has Vigilance. You can tap her for mana, and other legendary creatures you control have Vigilance, and you can add mana. So, honestly, pretty good card. Played against this card a lot. Played with it a little bit too. Wrinkle, Master of Pranks. Flying Haste, 4-mana 3/3. Whenever you deal combat damage to a player, you can choose any number of these. Each player discards a card, each player loses 1 life and draws a card, each player sacrifices a creature. I know it seems like it might not be great because everybody has to do it, each player, but usually you benefit more than they do. So we got some more cards that I have played a lot here. We got Dance of the Manse. This is a big combo card. Played Magic, you know this card. Turn up to X artifact and or non-aura enchantment cards, each with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents are 4/4 creatures in addition to their other types. This is a game ender card. This card actually got banned. Evolving Wilds. Exile top 5 cards of your library. You may play cards exiled this way until the end of your next turn. You may play an additional land at this turn. It's a 5-mana, 5-draw, where you get to play an additional land and you get 5 cards that you can play until the end of your next turn. It's a very, very good card. This is one of the other cards I was referencing for the food deck. Feasting Troll King. Vigilance Trample. When he enters the battlefield, if you cast him from your hand, he creates 3 food tokens. You can sacrifice 3 tokens and return the Troll King from the graveyard to the battlefield. Very good. He can pretty much summon himself, and in a food deck, you have plenty of food anyway. Arguably the best red card ever printed, if not top 5 for sure. Top 3. Bone Crusher Giant here. I guess it's probably behind Lightning Bolt. But 3-mana 4/3 that when anybody targets it, does 2 damage to that spell's controller. And it has a 2-mana 2 damage to any target for the instant Adventure. Adventure was a very strong mechanic. Guess it still is. Obviously a staple for red. We got Torbrand. Thane of Redfell. If a red source you control will deal damage to an opponent or permanent, it deals that much damage +2. Got a copy of the Fervent Champion in here. Really good 1-drop for red decks. First Strike Haste. Whenever Fervent Champion attacks another target attacking knight you control gets +1 until end of turn. And you can attach to him for 3 colorless less, which is very significant. Goes very well in those types of decks. Got a Wishclaw Talisman. This is a big combo card. It comes in with 3 wish counters. Pay 1, tap it, you remove a Wishclaw counter. You can search your library for a card, put it in your hand and shuffle, but then you give it to the opponent, and they can do the same, but you technically get 2, they get 1. Really depends. It's a kind of a gamble card, for sure. But tutors are powerful. We got another one of these instant cards that's a staple. 3-mana, 2/3, Zombie Knight, Murderous Rider. He also has Lifelink. He goes back in your library when he dies instead of going to the graveyard. And you can destroy a creature or planeswalker for 3 mana. You lose 2 life. Very powerful. Clockbridge Troll is more of a meme card, but I still really like this card. Trample Haste, 5 mana, 8/8. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 0/1 white goat creature tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If a player does, you tap the troll and you gain 3 life and you draw a card. Normally, if you play this early, if you play this on turn 5, they're going to tap it. But it really depends. It's a lot of value, though, if you can make it work. Obviously, it hits hard too. I have a lot of my companions in here. I don't think I have all of them in here. I got Linden just chilling up here. It's another really good Eldraine card, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Vigilance, whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. It's a 3 mana 3/3. And that 1 life is huge in life gain decks where you're getting counters and stuff for it. This is my favorite companion. We got Yorion, the Sky Nomad. Companion means that he sits... the companion is not in the game until you spend 3 mana to put the companion in your hand, and then you can cast the companion for its mana cost. And then it's just part of the game. It can go to the graveyard and stuff. But when Yorion enters the battlefield, you may exile any number of non-land permanents you control. Return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Like, right off the bat, it's kind of hard to tell what that would be good for, but there's a lot of cards with ETBs, which is enter the battlefield effects. So this card comes in, and then all of a sudden you have 5 more, you know. Let's say you have a, what's that 3 mana creature that exiles another creature? Skyclay, or, I can't remember what it's called, but this just goes really well with ETB effects. Your deck has to have 80 cards too, but that's really not an issue. Got some more, I'll show you these, I suppose. Another companion. This is each other creature you control that's a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast gets +1 and has vigilance. This creature also has vigilance. Again, you just have to pay 3 mana to put them in your hand, and then you can cast them. It's the same with all these. I've seen this card used as well. I've never used it myself. But if a source you control with an odd converted mana cost would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that much damage. Double is a big keyword, or word in general. Got Loris, a couple copies of Loris. This is arguably the best companion card. During each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. This is a big rogue deck commander, or companion. These 3 are companions as well. I've never really used them. But they all have weird effects like the other ones, where you have to like meet certain stipulations for them to be in your deck. So we got some more legendary creatures and stuff. This is a really good... Oh, pulled that one out on accident. Really good card. Dream Trawler. Flying lifelink. Whenever you draw a card, Dream Trawler gets +1 until end of turn. Whenever it attacks, you draw a card. And you can give it hexproof by discarding a card, but you have to tap it. If you have, you can see this is white and blue, so if you have a lot of card draw, you can hit really hard and gain a lot of life really quick. What did I accidentally pull out? Witherbloom Command. This is from Strixhaven. It's one of those choose 2 cards. It's pretty good. What else? This one I've used on MTG Arena a lot in rogue decks, because this is my favorite rogue card, even though it's not the best. It's Flash. 4 mana, return an unblocked attacking rogue you control to its owner's hand. Put Zerathon the Trickster from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may put target permanent card from that player's graveyard on the battlefield. This card can end the game as soon as it hits the battlefield if they can't do anything about it, because a lot of the time you're fighting people with very strong stuff, and if you're milling them, it's already in their graveyard. Boom, you have an Ugin or something. This one is the other one that I would say I've used the most out of all of them on this page. Because I like landfall decks, white and green landfall decks. Search your library for a forest and basic planes, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle. Players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents or cast spells or active abilities. To cast spells or activate abilities. Very niche on that second line of text, but you get 2 lands for him, and he's a 4-mana 4/4. We got some more Strict Haven cards. There's the Wither Bloom Command on the top. Wow, I just pulled out so many cards. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Add green or a red for each permanent destroyed this way. Sounds like you'd use it as a board wipe on your opponent, but really you use it like you create a bunch of pests or something. And then you can create a lot of mana for yourself. I've used this in giant decks. Giant decks aren't the best, but they're a lot of fun to play. Got Battle of Frost and Fire. Deals 4 damage to each non-giant creature and each planeswalker. You get to scry 3, and then whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or greater, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Got the Sanctum of All. This is a good Sanctum card, obviously. Or a Shrine card. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library and or graveyard for a Shrine card and put it onto the battlefield. If an ability of another shrine you control triggers while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. This can get out of hand really quick in a shrine deck. This card is such a meme card. I've never really been able to use it successfully. Song of Creation, you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. At the beginning of your end step, discard your hand. Hey, I don't know. I'm sure you can make that good. Don't get me wrong. So we got more of the ultimatums here. I already showed you Genesis Ultimatum, Ruinous Ultimatum, and Emergent Ultimatum. Here we got Eerie Ultimatum. Return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. This one's also very good. Cool artwork too. And we got the Is It version. Or I guess it's not Is It, but target player gains 5 life. Inspired Ultimatum deals 5 damage to any target, and then you draw 5 cards. Definitely a good card, but out of all the ultimatums, it's the worst. Or second worst, maybe. Got some Titan's Nests. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You put that card in your graveyard. Exile a card from your graveyard. Add colorless. Spend this mana only to cast a colored spell with X and its mana cost. You can do a lot with these. And then we've got a Solemn Simulacrum. Some cool art. Enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. You also get to draw a card when he dies. Alright, right here at the end, we've got just some hollows I added because I had a few extra pages and I wanted to get them in. I just like the artwork on them more than some of the other ones, that's why they made it in. This one I really like. It's got a really cool effect there in the middle. This one, the chains are just so blue, dude. Look at that. Got an opt. I mean, some of these you'd actually use for sure. Like, I've used this guy in a life gain deck before. I like the way that this one shimmers too. Looks like I got 2 copies of this guy. The Pack Beast. Temple Thief. I like Temple Thief. The artwork, that is, and the holographic. I guess it's a 2-mana 2/2, so it's not that bad overall, but the effect is very niche. And the Lightning Axe. That one looks really cool too. Really looks more like it's on fire than lightning, but whatever. Yeah, and that's gonna do it for that binder. Like I said, it's kind of a mix match. I need to get another binder and get a lot of my non-holos in here to kind of fill up the collection. I gotta start collecting Pokemon cards again too. Look at my commander deck I'm currently using. So we got Uro as the commander. I'm really hoping I don't have to take all these out of their sleeves so you can see them. This one's holographic, so I guess I'll take it out. So this guy, if you know Magic, also got banned at some point. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. Will you focus on it, please? When Uro enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. Doesn't sound great, but just wait. When Uro enters the battlefield or attacks, you gain 3 life, draw a card, and you may play a land from your hand. Escape means that you can exile 5 other cards from your graveyard while it's in the graveyard, and you pay it. So, like it says, sacrifice unless it escapes. So unless you escape it, you sacrifice it when it enters the battlefield, but you still get the ETB effects. So I basically just use Uro as a ramp effect. Because he just goes back to the command zone. Classic Soul Ring, obviously. Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty. This is a Cascade card. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 6 or greater have Cascade. That's the reason I have it in here. When you cast your spell, exile cards from top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Got Teferi, Master of Time. Draw a card, discard a card. Target creature you don't control phases out as the -3. And then the -10 is take 2 extra turns. I don't think I've ever gotten that off in a real game. You may activate loyalty abilities on any player's turn. So that's huge when there's 4 people. Got a Cemetery Prowler, Vigilance, 3/4, 3 mana. When he enters the battlefield or attacks, you exile a card from a graveyard. Spells you cast cost 1 less for each for the card type. So if you exile an instant, instants cost 1 colorless less. It's a Fabled Passage. Got the Dawnglade Regent. I like this card a lot for defense, but you have to be able to hold the Monarch for it to matter. When Dawnglade Regent enters the battlefield, you become a Monarch. As long as you're the Monarch, permanents you control have hexproof. 7 mana. Got a Springs in here. Lead the Stampede. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of creature cards from among them. Put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. Magnus of the Order. 4 mana, 3/3. Tap 1, tap her, or 1 green, tap her. Sacrifice Magnus, another green creature. Search your library for a green creature card. Put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Got the Thrashing Brontodon, so that I can take out artifacts and enchantments at instant speed. It's also a 3 mana, 3/4. War Room, I like this land a lot. 3 mana, tap, pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity, draw a card. So you pay 2 life for me. You get to draw. This is really good late game for drawing. Obviously, I got a command tower in here. Consuming Tide. I've been thinking about swapping some of these out because they don't do as much as I thought they would. Each player chooses non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hand. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in their hand than you. So it's a board wipe, but the cards go back to their hand, which isn't great. Glorious Sunrise is a really good enchantment card for green. If I can get it to focus. Being the beginning of combat on your turn, you can choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample. Target land gains tap to add 3 green until end of turn. Draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater, or you gain 3 life. A lot of utility on that one. And you can use it the turn you play it because it's the beginning of combat. Obviously, I got a Shark Typhoon in here. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token, where X is the spell's converted mana cost, but it also has cycling. When you cycle it, depending on how much mana you spend, you create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. Sublime Epiphany, one of the best counters in the game. You can choose one or more. Counter target spell, counter target activated or triggered ability, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, and target player draws a card. 6 mana, but very big. Got Confiscate for 6 mana. Enchant permanent, you control enchanted permanent. Any permanent, I like taking permanents. Got a 1 mana creature elf druid tap for a mana. Got the Scroll Rack, which I have used a lot. I think this is an underrated card, but tap 1, tap, exile any number of cards from your hand face down, put that many cards from the top of your library into your hand. Then look at the exiled cards and put them on top of your library. Very good for digging, even though you don't get to bury them. We got Sunset Pyramid, enters battlefield 3 brick counters on it. Remove a brick counter from Sunset Pyramid to draw a card, or to scry. Or you can scry without removing a brick counter, sorry. Got the Hellpack Piper. Spell can't be countered. 2, tap. You may put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. If it's a wolf or a werewolf, untap Hellpack Piper. Activate only as a sorcery. This is a 2-sided card. So if you flip it, whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Wild Song Howler, look at the top 6 cards of the library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So when it flips, you can stack your hand. If it flips again, you can dump your hand. And it's very, like, this isn't a werewolf deck, so I could probably only use this once in a turn, but you could technically use it more than once. Got the Siren Storm Tamer, 1 mana, 1/1 flyer. 1 blue, sacrifice, counter target spell or ability that targets you or a creature you control. Just having that sitting on the board, it's kind of intimidating for people. We've got Heroic Intervention to give all my permanents hexproof and indestructible. Got a Barrier Breach in here that I haven't had to use much because a lot of the people I play with don't use enchantments, but you can exile 3 enchantments or you can cycle it for 2 mana. It's a holographic island. I probably went over a few of those already without realizing. So we got the Command Sphere. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, and you can sacrifice it to draw a card. This is a 2-sided land. Very good card. So if it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 life. If you don't, it enters tapped. So you can pay 3 to have it not enter tapped, but it's also got Seagate Restoration on the backside. Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. It's a really good spell. Got 3 mana Fierce Empath in here to help me grab one of my big boys and put it in my hand. Search my library for a creature card with converted mana cost 6 or greater when he enters the battlefield, and he's a little block. Primal Command. This would be in my binder. I wasn't using it. Choose 2. Target player gains 7. Put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Usually I'll use the second and the fourth one, I want to say, more than any of the others. Got Supreme Will. Three mana, counter target spell unless his controller pays 3. Or you can look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one in your hand and the rest on the bottom. 2 different utilities for that card. This is probably the most expensive card in the deck. Sword of Feast and Famine. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from black and from green. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all lands you control. Equipped for 2. This is a really busted card. Got Kodama of the East Tree. It's a reach, 6 mana, 6/6. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with equal or lesser converted mana cost from your hand onto the battlefield. This guy's a partner, but that doesn't matter for me. I think you can kind of see that a lot of this is just about getting my big old creatures out and disrupting what they do sometimes. Got Shared Summon. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards with different names. Reveal them, put in your hand, then shuffle. It's a really good one too. Got a copy of Time Warp in here. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Got the Reclamation Sage. When Reclamation Sage enters the battlefield, it may destroy target artifact or enchantment. So you get a creature and you get to destroy something. Got Mystical Dispute in here. Costs 2 less if it targets a blue spell, but counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. It's really good for counter battles. This is another one that I was thinking I might remove. We'll see. Flood of Tears, 6 mana, return all 9-land permanents to their owner's hands. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents you control this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So I think I just have to use these better. I don't think I used them in good opportunities before, but we'll see. So we've got one of the best planeswalkers, in my opinion. We've got Nissa, who shakes the world. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional forest. The +1 is put 3 +1 counters on up to 1. It's hard to read on there. On up to 1 target non-creature land you control, untap it, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance and haste. That's still a land. And then the -8 is you get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. I have gotten that off before, multiple times. Unique artwork on a land or an island. Got a Kogla in here. Kogla, the Titan Ape, enters the battlefield. It fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. When Kogla attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. 2 mana, return target human you control to its owner's hand. Kogla gains indestructible until end of turn. 6 mana, 7/6, with a whole bunch of text. It's a good guy. Obviously, that's a play on King Kong. Got a holographic Dreamroot Cascade. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Got the Lightning Greaves. 2 mana, equipped creature has haste and shroud, which means it can't be the target of spells or abilities, and it's an equip cost of 0. It's a really good card. Got neutralize, counter target spell, and it has the cycle ability on it. It's probably why I chose that one over other counter spells when I was building this deck. This is another busted card if you can get it to work. 7 mana, 5/5 for Nyxbloom Ancient. Trample. If you tap a permanent for mana, any permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much mana instead. So if you have this out and Nissa out, that means you're forest tap for 6 mana. I've had some pretty absurd turns with this and Nissa out on the battlefield. Got a Thought Vessel, 2 mana, no maximum hand size to add a colorless. I don't know why this is like upside down all of a sudden. Body of Research. It's kind of a meme card, but I've used it before. 3 blue, 3 green, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, put X +1 counters on it, where X is the number of cards in your library. I've made big boys off of that. And I have a lot of stuff that gives trample in here too. Another broken card, untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. Seaborn Muse. This is from like a meme set. A lot of the cards, it seems like, aren't usable in normal games from this set, but I do really like the artwork on the lands. It was like Cosmic Set. I don't really know. I can't remember what it was called. Elvish Visionary. 2 mana. When Elvish Visionary enters the battlefield, draw a card for a blocker. A little 1/1. You get to draw. Preordain. 1 mana. Scry 2. Draw. That's a sorcery speed. Got a Leyline of Anticipation in here. If it's in your opening hand, you can begin with it on the battlefield. You may cast spells as though they had flash. Which is, I've not really been able to utilize that yet. It'd be really cool though. Traverse the Outlands. Search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield, tap, and shuffle. It can really ramp you up real quick. Also, like, drop this or something. Teferi, Temporal Archmage. 6 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand and the other in the bottom. Untap up to 4 target permanents for -1. And then -10, you get an emblem with you may activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control on any player's turn. So I'm not really worried about that. I'm worried about untapping 4 permanents and digging through my library with the +1. Got a classic Cultivate in here. Search for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, put one onto the battlefield and the other in your hand. Primeval Titan. Trample. Whenever Primeval Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may search your library for up to 2 land cards. Land cards, note, they're not basic land cards, so this helps me get some of my better land cards out on the field. And I put them on tapped, and then you shuffle. And again, this is a 6 mana 6/6 with Trample, and you get that effect when he enters the battlefield and when he attacks. There's some other cards I've been thinking about putting in here too that aren't currently in here, like Frogify. I gotta get in here if I didn't already. And some other ones that I was thinking might go well in here. Terastodon enters the battlefield. You may destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents. For each permanent put into the graveyard this way, its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant. So this is a 8 mana 9/9, and you can hit 3 permanents. But they do get 3/3s. Got an expensive counter, but 4 mana rewind, counter target spell, and then you get to untap 4 lands. It can be very intimidating. Got Fall from Favor. This is good for 2 reasons. You can enchant a creature, it is now tapped. Tap enchanted creature and you become the monarch. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step unless that player is the monarch. So you put this on a commander or something, now that commander can't attack, whatever. And you become the monarch. That's one I've been thinking about swapping out with some other cards. We've got Yorvo, 3 green. Enters the battlefield with 4/+1 counters on him. He's a 0/0 to start. Whenever another green creature enters the battlefield near your control, you can put a +1 on Yorvo. Then if that creature's power is greater than Yorvo's, put another +1 on. He can get big really fast. Like I was saying, I got a Triome in here. I actually, I don't think this is supposed to be in here. I'm gonna have to swap this out before my next game. I think I was using this because I couldn't find one of my other lands, but you can't technically use this because it has red mana on it. Got a Temple in here with a Scry. Probably gonna swap that one out too. So I got another one of these lands, like the blue one we saw earlier. When it enters, you can pay 3 life to have it come in untapped. But it's called Turn Timber Symbiosis. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them on the battlefield. If that card has converted mana cost 3 or less, it enters with 3 additional +1 counters on it. Put the rest of them on the bottom. Hold out the rest of the basic lands. Like I was saying earlier when we were looking through the binder, got a Garruk's Uprising in here. This one's holographic, kind of hard to tell because it's in the case. But you've seen one of these already. When it enters, you can draw if you have a creature with 4 or greater, power 4 or greater. Creatures have trample. And whenever you play a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card. Got the Nyx Lotus. This is another one that helps me really go off if I get the combo going. Enters tap, choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. And that means the amount of colored mana that a card has is your devotion. So if I just had this card out, it would be 1. If that makes sense. But this is also, so like if I had Nyx Bloom Ancient out, for instance, and this is already tapping for 5 mana, say, it taps for 15 mana because this is a permanent. Got a copy of a Shy in here. Power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. So not only does this make it so you can tap your creatures for mana, but it also makes it so that things like Banishing Light and stuff that have specific words on them that say you can't target lands, it makes it so they can't hit you. I've had plenty of people on MTG Arena surrender when they didn't realize that that was the case trying to go for this card. Questing Beast. Again, we already saw this one in the binder. Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. Whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to the target planeswalker that player controls. 4/4, 4 mana. Really good card. So we got a Cyclone Summoner. Enters the battlefield. If you cast from your hand, return all permanents to their owner's hands except for giants, wizards, and lands. This is another questionable one, but it's a wipe, and I get to stick a 7/7, and I have a couple cards that don't get hit by this. At least one. Got the Arcane Signet, of course. Add 1 mana in your commander's color identity. 2 mana to play that. This is the Vorinclex I was talking about earlier. Monstrous Raider, 6 mana, 6/6 trample haste. If you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice that many of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. If an opponent would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, they put half that many each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead, rounded down. So if somebody's getting 1 counter, it's 0 counters, to be clear. And this works really well with planeswalkers too, like I was saying earlier. So if I have this on the board and I play any planeswalker, it comes down with double loyalty. That is a very good card. Got the Elder Gargaroth. This is a green staple. 5 mana, 6/6 vigilance, reach, trample. Whenever he attacks or blocks, you create a 3/3, or you gain 3 life, or you draw a card. You get to choose one. Another one of these lands. I'm gonna swap this one out too. I forgot this was in here. Got a Brainstorm. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of the library in any order. It's another really good dig card. Set up your hand early. Crawling Barrens. This is for late game. Put 2 +1 counters on Crawling Barrens, and you may have it become a 0/0 elemental creature token until end of turn. Creature, not token. It's still a land. So every turn you can put 2 more counters on it, and you don't actually have to make it into a creature. you may have it become a creature. So until you're ready to actually attack with it, you can keep it out of harm's way for the most part. And last but not least, we got a Castle of Antris. Enters the battlefield tapped. Unless you control an island, add 1, and it's also a late game scry tool. I've had games where I'm using this card and that War Room you saw earlier so that I'm scrying 2, and then I'm using the War Room to draw. And that's my Uro Commander deck. I hope you enjoyed going through my collection with me. I enjoyed it. I don't get to do this very often because nobody cares other than me. So hopefully you care. I don't know. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.